Because what you're saying here is that if we can prevent one mouse from dying, you would kill all of the animals in existence.
Yes, because I'm in favor of reducing rights violations. It's kind of like the non-aggression principle. So, like, the problem I have is that predators are the ones violating others' rights. So, yeah, like, obviously I'm more in favor of protecting the innocent versus, like, it's really strange, too, because weren't you attacking my position based on utilitarianism? Now it sounds like you have a utilitarian position.
It is utilitarian.
No, that's not utilitarian logic. That fits. You're being more utilitarian here. I'm being more deontological. You're the one being utilitarian
I'm
here.
not concerned with totality of harm, Richard, at all.
Yeah, you are. You said you wouldn't be in favor of killing Nazis. Because it would result in more harm. That's utilitarian.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
Would say, look, the Nazis will kill all of these people, and if I kill all of the Nazis, then that's gonna cause more harm. So the utilitarian doesn't kill the Nazis.
You literally just said you wouldn't kill the Nazis, so you're proving my point. You're being utilitarian.
In the chat, I've just posted something in the chat here. I actually prepared this in advance because I anticipated stuff like this. Right. Well, if that is genuinely your position, it's a bizarre position because then you're just gonna have to kill everyone and everything, right? Because
no, you heard? Did you not listen to my proposition? I said in circumstances where it reduces rights violations. Dude, I said in circumstances where it reduces rights violations, I'm in favor of killing predatory species.
Right. So you're saying that it reduces rights violations as part of your proposition, but now when I'm asking you about one single rights, so obviously we've got, you would have to violate millions you would have to cause millions of rights violations to save one mouse.
Okay, let me ask you this: like, were you not in favor of like killing Nazis? Like, would you have been against World War II? Like, considering the German population was larger than the Jewish population?
I think we're getting slightly derailed.
No, I'm not. Like, I don't see what the dude. I don't see what the issue is here. Considering the German population is bigger than the Jewish population, like, would you be against like killing Nazis?
Yeah, I think we should incapacitate Nazis.
Well, you can't.
But I wouldn't kill.
Well, you can't. We're talking about a situation where you can only use lethal force. So, what do you mean, like assuming the Nazi population was greater than the Jewish population, would you not be in favor of killing Nazis to save Jews, even though that means you're going to end up killing more people than the Nazis otherwise would kill?
Yeah, we're just talking about war. I don't...
it doesn't matter if we're talking about war, like, it's the same principle. Okay, could you like, just answer... Okay, dude, could you just answer the hypothetical, because you still haven't done it? Supposing...
I don't kill people.
Okay, well, no, you're weaseling out of it. I want an affirmative answer. If there were... I want an affirmative answer. You can't just weasel out of it and say, I don't kill people. I want an affirmative answer. Yes or no. So if there were 10 million Nazis and 5 million Jews, the only way to prevent all of those 5 million Jews from dying is to kill the 10 million Nazis. Would you let the 10 million Nazis kill all the Jews? Yes or no?
Loaded, but
yes or no? You would let the 10 million Nazis kill the 5 million Jews.
Yes, because it's a loaded question.
Oh God! And I'm the one who's the crazy person here. Okay.
Yeah.
Because predatory animals are the aggressors here. They're the ones violating the rights of prey species. I'm in favor of protecting the rights of the prey species, just like I'd be in favor of protecting the rights of the Jews.
So the delusion that these people are indulging in is that they can and should police the wilderness, forcing these human-created values onto sharks, dolphins, so on and so forth, even if it means obliterating the entire food chain, destroying ecology as we know it, in the name of this ideal that seems to matter more than the nature itself or what have you. Now, I've been kind of hinting at this repeatedly in this video. What is the point of policing? To use Nacho's favorite word, what is the justification for policing? I don't normally talk in terms of justifying things. I think it's very misleading in English what we do and don't mean by justify or saying something is justified. To give an example, if you have an atheist majority in a country, modern atheist democratic majority, and they are getting into policing the morality of the Muslim minority in the country. So this is happening right now in many countries in Europe, different places around the world, happening in some parts of China, although without the democracy, unfortunately, with only the Chinese idea of democracy. Okay, what is the justification? Anyone can argue back, and both left-wing and right-wing people argue against this. There are right-wing libertarians and there are left-wing bleeding hearts and so on who say, well, these people have their own culture. Why don't you just let them do it their own way? They have their own marriage customs, they have their own ceremonies, they have their own music, they have their own costume, their own style of dress. Why, if they want to cut off part of their dick in this ceremony called circumcision, why don't you just let them do things their way? Why don't you just pretend that our laws can't and shouldn't apply to them? Let them carry on, in their own way. Now, this question is normally asked insincerely, and it's normally answered insincerely. But I want to answer it really sincerely. I want to talk about what is the point of policing, okay? The justification for sober people policing drug addicts is entirely based on a claim about their human potential, okay? The reason why I don't want you to become a heroin addict is because I have a definite notion of who it is you could be and should be, right? Now, most of you, today with Facebook, you could really look this up. Think back to the classroom full of people you graduated high school with, right? How many of them are dead today? I'm assuming I have a middle-aged audience. Some of you are watching this and you're 18. You're like, hey, what are you talking about? I just graduated 2 weeks ago. It's true. I do have some teenage viewers. Okay. All right. If you're over 30 years old, how many of the people you graduated from high school with are dead today? How many of them are dead due to drug use or drug overdose? And how many of them are alive but have completely ruined their lives with drug use? They've completely rotted their brains or whatever. They've frittered away. Fritter is not quite the right verb here. They have squandered their human potential with drugs and alcohol. Okay, it's a lot. The justification for, the reason for, the point of me policing you, whether I'm the king or the dictator, or whether we have a democracy where it's the majority of people voting in a referendum, the fundamental reason for policing is that you have the potential to be something better, to do something better, and you are going to lose that potential. It's going to be snuffed out if I allow you to become a heroin addict when you're 16 years old. You're never going to get there. There is a kind of potential that a woman has that is snuffed out by allowing her to have her clitoris removed in what is called female circumcision. There is a kind of human potential that is snuffed out when women are deprived of the opportunity to attend high school and university because they're part of a religion that wants them to just get married the minute they're physically old enough to do so, and that puts them into a veil and gives them this operation and deprives them of ever having an education or a career, right? And guess what, guys? None of this relies on anything as certain as science or the laws of nature or evolution. It's all political. I think the problem with veganism precisely is that they don't regard what is political as political. So to give you an example, one of the most common arguments made for veganism is that it's natural. No, it's not. It's ridiculous. They will make the argument that we are evolved to be vegan, or specifically that we're evolved to be frugivores, fruitarian, and then that it's a kind of crime against nature for you to eat meat. It's completely ridiculous. Now, I understand why it's gratifying. No. This is an ethical decision. This is a social and political movement. And it has as much or as little justification as any other social or political movement. Now, I would say, just disclose my bias, I like black people and I like gay people. I'm pro-black and I'm pro-gay. I have never once made an argument like in favor of black rights or gay rights on the argument that they are natural or it's due to evolution. Like we're evolved to embrace gay people and treat them well and give them equal rights, or, you know, that people of different, that's ridiculous to me. This is political. I mean, this is real politics. Like, let's face up to it. You know, and around the world and throughout history, most societies have been intolerant to most people most of the time. The most trivial of differences imaginable have brought about unspeakable intolerance. I mean, you know, Catholic versus Protestant. Anyone today can say, what the fuck? What's the difference between Catholic and Protestant? Are you kidding me? You know, Portuguese against Spanish. Do you have any idea how hard the Portuguese fought against the Spanish, you know, in innumerable wars and so on, you know? Well, the difference meant a lot to them at the time. The two most popular ways to try to make politics unquestionable, to make, you know, political authority, decisions made by political authorities unquestionable, is either to hide behind the mask of religion or to hide behind the mask of science. As I write about in my book, currently in the 21st century, we see this other very strange delusion about the law itself, that things can't be questioned just because they're a law or just because they're in a constitution, as if that's something different than just a decision made by one person at one time that was written down on a piece of paper. This strange pattern of thought we have that things become unquestionable when they're called science, when they're called religion. And the reason why we don't want to admit that it's political is that whatever is political is questionable. Any decision we make. I mean, we can have a referendum and people decide to make abortion completely illegal. And then 10 years later, you have another referendum and they decide to make abortion completely legal. From the perspective of the people of Saudi Arabia, we are guilty of a great injustice by depriving people of the freedoms, quote unquote freedoms, they want to have within their own religious and cultural tradition, right? And vice versa. We would perceive ourselves as being deprived of the freedoms we would value if we had to go and live in Saudi Arabia, right? But the justification, the point of policing, ultimately is a claim made about potential. And I will make the further statement that potential, ultimately, its significance is intellectual. I'm opposed to marijuana. Everyone in this audience right now, I'm just going to encourage you to quit smoking marijuana, never smoke marijuana again. If you own marijuana right now in your apartment, flush it down the toilet, start living a better life tomorrow morning as a result. It's my position. Number one. Some people are dying of cancer. Some people have particular symptoms, either caused by the cancer itself or by the therapy they're receiving, such as chemotherapy. They're getting chemical treatments and different kinds of invasive treatments, okay, that are horrendously painful. I have been told, and I am willing to believe, that marijuana can be used to treat the physical pain as a painkiller and has fewer negative side effects than other painkillers for some of these people who are dying of cancer. Great. Smoke marijuana every day. You're going to die 2 weeks from now. What is the point of me policing your drug habit if you are going to be dead 2 weeks from now? You see how that changes? It's subtle, but it's not fucking subtle at all. It's the most obvious thing in the world. And once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. The justification for me oppressing you, whether it's the king oppressing you or in a democracy, the majority oppressing the minority, or in a parliamentary system, an elite minority oppressing the majority, the justification ultimately has to be based on your positive potential. We're making a claim based on your potential, your intellectual potential, your human potential. Okay. The shark has absolutely no intellectual potential above and beyond exercising its evolved natural faculties to hunt and kill and mate and lay eggs. That's it. If you relieve the shark of its duty to hunt and kill by providing it every day with an ingeniously devised vegan sandwich, you go every day out in your canoe and you feed the shark a vegan sandwich that the most brilliant scientists have designed to appease the hunger of the shark so that it no longer has to hunt. What do you think you are liberating the shark to do? Is it now going to write that novel it was working on? There is no other nature. There is no other capacity, right? There is no further horizon. There is no intellectual development possible for the shark. It can only be the best shark it can be. It cannot imitate a human being in virtue, okay? It can't cultivate anything intellectually. And indeed, I think with most predatory species, I don't know this about sharks, there are some predatory species where if you give them food this way, if human beings relieve them, they no longer have the need to hunt because they're being fed. Some of them will just become completely inert. Some of them will just become lazy. They'll do nothing. But others will hunt and kill for sport. They'll hunt and kill for fun because that's all they know how to do. That's all they enjoy. Hunting, mating, they have very, very limited intellectual capacity. So this is obviously taking the more, the less horrifying form of policing as our example, right? This is policing through deterrence or something, right? The other form of policing that's being entertained here absurdly and is now endorsed by Vegan Gains. He managed to get that vegan teacher to grudgingly go along with it. Right? The other form of policing is to actually exterminate them because they refuse to live up to our human standards, our human values. When we decide that we are going to police the Muslim faith, and by the way, there are plenty of forms of Judaism and Christianity that are just as bad. I'm not joking. In Canada, you can look at the Hutterites. You can look at a lot of the kind of extreme fundamentalist Christian cults, frankly. And we say, look, the majority has decided that we do not like the fact that your women are being raised without going to high school and university and so on. And I know it's ridiculous because it's not compulsory to go to university, but we don't like what you're doing, the way you're raising young women in this. And we are actually going to start passing laws and we're going to break up your closed cult-like community. You can imagine there are some Mormon groups that are like this too, because we really want these women to have access to education and be a part of society and all these different ways. Ultimately, it's about intellectual potential. It's like, look, you are depriving these women of the life of the mind. You're depriving them of the full range of their human nature, their human capabilities. Right? That is the justification for what is genuinely oppressive. When you prevent people from circumcising their own children, you're oppressing them. You prevent people from raising their own sons and daughters the way they want to with their own culture. You're oppressing them. You're saying, yes, this oppression is justified because we really believe that you have other potential. There's a better life. There's a more meaningful life for you to live that you'd be deprived of otherwise, okay? There is in this way no justification whatsoever for civilized human beings to engage in policing the wilderness, policing sharks, policing leopards, tigers, lions. And the lion has no other nature, no higher intellectual characteristics that it can exercise, develop, or ever even imagine or aspire to. From my perspective, that's a wrap. It's simple. Mod Vegan thought that human beings should prevent bears from raping other bears in the forest. So bears, I'm generalizing, hashtag not all bears, but among bears, generally speaking, rape is common and cannibalism is also common. Lions, too, have a great deal of cannibalism. Yeah. It's a dog-eat-dog world. It's a bear-eat-bear world also, okay? So you have an idea of human morality, and like this is specifically human sexuality, and you want to impose it on bears. You want to police bears. You want to police the morality of bears, the diet of bears. You're going to bring them into court for murder. I mean, it's for some of us, it's just so self-evidently absurd. But do you have the vocabulary to reason that through? Do you have the ability to really explain to someone where it is they're going wrong in applying this concept of policing? You would kill every bird on Earth because they would dare to pull a worm from the ground. They would dare to crush up a potato bug. They eat the insects out of the air and off the ground. So you want to commit genocide against robins for not living up to your standards. This is madness. It's madness because you are policing them in a way that's irrelevant. It's ridiculous. And by contrast, you have to talk about what is the positive justification for policing. What is the point of policing? The point is I'm policing you because I don't want you to become a heroin addict. I don't want you to drop out of school and be unemployable and whatever. I don't want all these terrible things to happen to you. And I'm policing you in a sense also. I want you to be vegan. I want you to have this more sophisticated, morally responsible, view of life, so on and so forth. I am doing that because of your positive potential. When you scale it up, our positive potential, all right? Afghanistan could be a better country if they became, 90% atheist and 90% vegan. These things are linked in many ways. If you could bring about fundamental positive changes in their attitudes, their level of education, and their outlook on life, and so on, you could radically, improve life for everyone in that society. Now, how are you going to do it? Obviously, we've just seen a 20-year experiment asking the question of, can you oppress the people of Afghanistan into enlightenment? And the answer is George W. Bush can't. I think some other president, frankly, could have done it. I think a lot of this has to be blamed on the unique stupidity of two men, George W. Bush and Barack Obama. Well, they didn't do it. They failed. Left to their own devices, their culture is going to go on. They're going to go on oppressing themselves and oppressing one another and oppressing women and oppressing animals. It's going to go on and on forever. And, the point of policing in this sense, use a catcher, the point is ultimately is enlightenment, is of wanting people to live an enlightened life and make enlightened choices and become enlightened people, become better people. That's why I'm telling you to not smoke marijuana, why I'm telling you also to not use heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, and innumerable other drugs. But when we turn to a robin, a penguin, it's meaningless. There is just no sense in which we can preach to the penguins that they ought not to eat fish.
Okay, no. The hypothetical is they can only use lethal force. You're saying it's morally wrong for them to stop a mass shooter who's killing dozens of people if they use lethal force to kill that mass shooter or to stop the mass shooter.
In my personal opinion, it's morally wrong. They might do it anyway, right? It's morally wrong.
Okay, dude, this debate over. You're a joke to me. You know what? You're just. Okay, dude, you're just fucking special. You know what? I am done. You're just special. All right.
Maybe we can practice.